Hey there nation, welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back with another edition of Hobby Side videos. This time we're looking at Kill Team terrain is what we're looking at for this video, and we'll be focusing on some of the different pieces of scatter terrain that you guys have seen throughout our videos for both Warhammer 40,000, for Kill Team Chronicles, as well as for Necromunda as well. So we're going to talk about today about some site blocking terrain that we have here, which is some pre-made terrain that was made by Games Workshop. We have our brand new piece of large terrain that was created by our resident terrain wizard Iron Major. This is the Quantum building. We're going to talk about this one in a lot more detail because this one is very awesome, as you can just see. Lots of detail attached to this one. And then we're also going to talk about some of our objective markers that we use for various games in Necromunda and Warhammer 40,000, as well as what we're calling the fighting position, is this one here. Basically calling it the foxhole. We'll be talking about these pieces of terrain in particular and focusing on each one of them one by one. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this video report on a roll. Alright, so the very first piece of terrain we're going to talk about first are these site blockers here that are created by Games Workshop. These ones are actually pre-made terrain that you can buy for various miniatures. These were originally created for Warhammer 40,000. These are basically barricades, what they are. As you can see, you have some wall structures kind of scattered about. You got this rubble barricade, maybe with an old motorcycle, you know, different kind of structures at that location is what basically makes up this one. Now, when it comes to pre-made terrain, I'm not really much of a big fan of purchased terrain or terrain that's already pre-made and all you got to do is assemble it and or paint it. The reason why is because, for one important reason, they cost a lot of money. Pre-bought terrain usually costs a lot of money, much more than the miniatures actually cost. So because of that, I'm not really big into it because I am a cheapskate after all. And secondly, the reason why I don't like pre-bought terrain is because usually the scale is kind of off when it comes to buildings, and same things with some of the structures they create, especially some of the Games Workshop terrain, especially the Warhammer 40,000 terrain. In my opinion, their scale is really off. It's way too small for the miniatures that are fighting on it, so because of that, I'm not really big into the whole pre-bought terrain. I'm more of a guy who likes using homemade terrain as well, because one, is cheaper, and two, you can make some pretty cool things with it. But as you can see here, this one here I bought about 5 years ago, I think is when I bought these. That was about a while ago. These basically sat in my bits box, not being used at all, just because I just hadn't had the time to paint it. I was working on different projects and I found a reason to have it at this point until my friends and I started doing Kill Team, and after that we started really getting into it. So as you can see, we kind of went with the scheme we kind of went with was like a marble scheme, as we went for the paint job. So you can see a lot of it's kind of like this off-white kind of sandy marble color for the rubble. We used a lot of different stains and different paints, metallic paints especially, to make it look all stained up as well as damaged. So very pleased with the way that these came out. We painted up this motorcycle to look like something like the Space Wolves used, just because I thought the Space Wolf color scheme was pretty cool. So yeah, that's going to do it for these site blockers. And you basically have seen these so far in our Kill Team Chronicle videos. You've been seeing these quite a bit because of it. Alright, so up next we're going to talk about the Quantum building. Alright, so now it's time for the Quantum building. This is the latest piece of terrain that was actually made by our resident terrain wizard Iron Major. Iron Major is the man who is responsible for making all the terrain that we use in our videos. And as you can see, it is an excellent piece of terrain, just a fantastically detailed. As you can see, the interiors of this building is just immaculate. All the different things and the features are located within this building as well. I mean, the building on the outside is just fantastic. Look, let me go ahead and spin this around real quick so you can see it. So as you can see, it's basically just supposed to be like an old office building that got taken over by either a gang or by a squad of troops or a kill team or whatever. And what they basically do is they reinforce the building to kind of make a strong point out of it. As you can see, all the bottom levels have been reinforced with steel mesh in order to make sure that people don't go in through the end and outside. You also have some improvised armor pieces that have been welded onto the building, like this piece of corrugated steel that you have here on the top. I'm going to just spin it around real quick again, go to the back. At the same time though, the Quantum building is also kind of like a recruitment center too, because as you can see, we have these beautifully designed posters on the outside of it, as you can see there. We've got some of these beautifully created propaganda posters. Let me see if I can focus this up a little bit. See if I can get it for you guys to see it a little bit better. There we go. So as you can see, we got like these awesome propaganda posters that my terrain wizard Iron Major made. He basically downloaded a bunch of different images for terrain, as well as for different different images for different propaganda posters online, and of course he just, added up to it. See, like, look at this. You got like the mesh inside reinforces some I-beams to make sure that people can't come in. You also got this beautiful rubble effect. And of course, with all the buildings that we have in our futuristic terrain, it is battle damaged the hell up. As you can see, you can just imagine all the laser blasts, bolter shells, high explosive rounds, artillery pieces, just pockmarking the hell out of the outside of this building. You can tell that this building has been through some serious combat. And one of the coolest things about Iron Major's design philosophy is that he's really into the battle damage aspect of his work. In fact, if you kind of go down here, you can see some more posters on the inside of it. You can see, so you got some more propaganda posters there in the background. We're going to zoom out again real fast. And as you can see here, we also have a staircase built inside the building as well, with more terrain pieces. So now let's take an overhead shot of the building so you guys have seen what it looks like in the front. Over the overhead shot is where you see a lot more of the detail. Alright, so as you can see over the top, here's an overhead shot of the building. As you can see, it looks like the entire inside of the building got blown the hell out. It looks like a bomb came in through the roof, dropped right through the structures on the inside, and then exploded. And as you guys go into the building, as you can see more posters. They're decorated throughout it. You can also see that stairwell that your miniatures can come up into, start fighting. Here's a ladder that he built by hand in order to make that happen. You can also see the wiring and the piping that's inside, as well as the pieces of rubble everywhere. Some more propaganda posters, as you can see. One of my favorite pieces, of course, is the improvised metal plating, which is located right here. It looks like a couple of soldiers took some corrugated steel and welded it to the outside of the building and used this A-frame here to kind of weld it together to make it into a fighting position. That's what they did for that one. You see some more propaganda posters, and there's another shot of the ladder leading into the inside of the building. So yeah, this is the Quantum building. It is a fantastic piece of terrain that was made by Iron Major, and it's just absolutely fantastic. Just the way he kind of put that all together. Okay, so with this one over with, we're going to go directly to our objective markers next, and we'll also talk about the foxhole, and then we'll finish up this video. Alright, so the very last piece of terrain we're going to talk about real quick is our, as you can see, our little objective markers. These objective markers were originally created by Iron Major for our Necromunda terrain, as originally was created for. And in Necromunda, you do a lot of loot missions where you're stealing things like supplies, food, ammo, that kind of stuff away from rival gangs. So in order to make that a little bit more appealing for us, Iron Major actually made these little loot counters that we could use for each of our battles. And in fact, as you can see here, these ones here, for example, these little cargo containers full of fuel canisters, these are actually based off of the, sometimes when you get inside of food packages or inside of packages that you get from the mail, like from Amazon or whatever, you get these little cylindrical shaped items that are basically full of solution to make sure that no humidity or any moisture gets built up in the packaging. And so that's what you use to create these fuel canisters out of. You use those in order to make it. As you can see here, he also printed out really small labels. Let me see if I can get that zoomed in a little bit better for you guys. There you go. As you can see, he also printed out some really small labels using PowerPoint to create the flammable signs that are on it as well. It actually says flammable, the kind of fuel it has, what kind of degree it burns at as well. Very, very detailed. At the same time, we also have these little loot counters too. That you can see these are little just wooden blocks that he actually painted by hand and then glued on the MRE meals ready to eat icon. As you can see there, so you can see the little half moon shape for the classification that this is food storages and food supplies, and you can see that as well. And then perhaps one of the coolest things he has is these ammo crates, as you can see here. And these ammo crates are actually different types of ammo crate. Like this one here is about 10,000 count to 50 caliber ammunition with armor piercing incendiary tracer, and it's linked ammo. So he's got like different classifications of ammo storage on each one of these. Like this one here, yeah, this one's upside down. Let me go fix that real quick. Alright, so you can see this one, for example. This one's 40mm high explosive. It's also linked as well, so you could use that for like a, grenade launching machine gun. So things of that nature. It is a very, very cool little details that he's actually put together when he actually did these. And then of course he also has these pallets that he made as well. The cargo pallets that the ejector markers sit on as well. Now, if you want to know how he basically made this, he just made it with balsa wood and time and patience. You could actually cut out individual planks as well as the structures on the inside. He just cut those out to like matchsticks and then glued it all together. And then after he glued it all together, he painted it up and then dry brushed it as well to make it look more weathered. and that's an example of how he made the pallets. So this is a little example of some of the objective markers that we have that we use for our futuristic wargaming as well. Just brilliantly designed by Iron Major. And of course, the last piece we're going to talk about real quick is the foxhole. This is what we call this fighting position here. It is an individual piece of terrain, which is very, very unique. It looks like a rubble mound that has been reinforced by a fighter in order to defend against attacks. So it looks like an individual fighting position. In fact, if you look at the top here, you can see like a little foxhole that was built in by a soldier or a ganger who then put a piece of corrugated steel and reinforcement on it to kind of act as the impacting zone for the incoming enemy fire. You can take cover behind it. And then right behind it, of course, is like a little makeshift ladder that the guy can use to kind of scurry up to get next to it. And he's using this I-beam here, this concrete pillar here, in order to add a support. And one of the coolest things we ever saw, this is actually the first time that Iron Major actually created a poster in our terrain, and this one says, keep calm and obey the Emperor. So, you know, a very propaganda type of terrain piece. As you can see, you got pipes and corrugated steel and mesh and I-beams and all kinds of jagged rubble goodness on it. You can just imagine like some soldier, like probably an Imperial Guardsman, because, you know, those guys get chopped into pieces, just kind of standing his ground in the middle of the battlefield in that thing, you know, trying to survive. So yeah, that's going to be the terrain for this one. So as you can see here, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of terrain on this one. Some excellent pieces created by Iron Major, our resident terrain maker. So as you can see here, let me get focused in real fast. So we have our sight blockers that we use for Kill Team. We have our quantum building, which is probably one of the most detailed buildings we actually have in our terrain. That's just a fantastic piece. We also have our objective markers as well as our foxhole. So that's going to do it for this one, you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is valuable to us as always. Also check us out on Instagram, Google+, Facebook, as well as blogger.com for all the latest and greatest news about our hobby. That's going to do it for this one, you guys. You guys stay classy. Peace out, you guys.